Welcome to Presence with Peacock Voices, our YouTube channel where we discuss how mastering the human voice will allow you to become the leader and communicator that you want to be. Hello, today we're going to talk about projection. So often I have clients come to me saying that their voice isn't being heard literally. It's not that people aren't trying to listen to their ideas, it's that they're so soft-spoken that their voice actually can't be heard, which makes it really difficult when they're giving presentations, when they're trying to be in networking situations, when they have big, long conferences that they're going to. And so that becomes a real issue. What I have found is that there's really two types of responses to this. One is that people just say, you know what, I've got a quiet voice and there's nothing I can do about it. There's no way to change it. This is going to be a thing that I have to deal with for the rest of my life. And then there's another group of people that just think they have to yell. And so when they're trying to have their voices heard, they just talk like this. The result of this is that they're kind of two groups of people then operating out in this world. One that feels dejected, not empowered by their speaking voice, just feeling like this is it for me. And then the second is a group of people that sometimes get feedback saying that they're aggressive, saying that they are combative, that their communication style is too harsh. And it's not because they're trying to be, it's because literally they're just trying to have their voice heard. I realized when talking to friends who were coming up with this issue that projection and this knowledge of how to create a loud sound with your speaking voice, or a louder sound with your speaking voice that is welcoming and warm and friendly and charismatic, is something that is not actually understood by a lot of people. And this was actually one of the main reasons why we started Peacock Voices. You see, you have an internal speaker system inside your body, your resonance tract. This is how you make sound, how I sound like me, you sound like you, your siblings sound like your siblings, etc. How we use our resonance tract and how we create volume through that is how opera singers can fill a 2,000-seat hall and sing over a full orchestra with no microphone. We translated that skill set into easily accessible exercises and techniques that people can utilize in everyday conversation. You don't have to have a musical background at all, because in reality, everybody deserves to have their voice heard. Everybody deserves to know how to create volume in a safe and healthy way that achieves the emotional culture that they're looking to create with those that they're conversing with. So now let's play. How do you find this volume? Well, first, we're going to make a silly breathing sound. If you have ever seen the original Star Wars, the original 3, then this will be very obvious to you. If you haven't, then go watch them. But I want you to pretend like you're Darth Vader, and you're going to inhale and exhale through an open mouth, feeling a cold spot on the back of your throat. And it's going to look and sound something like this. You might find yourself yawning. This is like the one time that yawning in a professional setting is fine, right? But you might find yourself yawning. You might feel a little bit of a tickle. If you start feeling lightheaded, that's not right. We're not looking for anything to hurt or to make you feel lightheaded. We're just looking for that cold spot in the back of your throat. And as you're breathing there, I want you to see how big you can make that cold spot. You can play with changing the shape and size of your mouth. Just play around and see, like, how big can I make that spot? And now what I want you to do is I want you to inhale into that space. And as you exhale, I want you to speak. And I want you to imagine sending your sound back and wide into that cold spot you just found. So it'll look and sound something like this. Hi, my name is Margaret Izard Oskoui. Do you hear how much louder my sound just got? Why don't you try it? Just say, hi, my name is, and say your name. Okay, fabulous. So this is how we find that extra volume. Now, if you're still finding this a little bit tricky, something that I oftentimes have to work on with clients is energy. Energy is the life force of sound. Without energy, you cannot have high quality air pressure. Without high quality air pressure, you cannot have high quality sound. So as you're doing this exercise, make sure you have a lot of energy, thinking like a kid on the morning of their birthday, and they know they're getting this gift that they've been waiting for. It's so exciting. There's so much energy, but it's not tight energy, right? It's relaxed energy. It's just released energy. Hi, my name is Margaret Izard Oskoui. Instead of, hi, my name is Margaret Izard Oskoui. That's so tight. Gosh, that didn't feel good. But anyway, so playing with that, you can use your arms, even sending your arms wide as you send your sound back. Once you get comfortable making volume this way, it gives you so much control over how your voice is heard and how you use volume in your everyday life. For example, I can have presence, but be much quieter. Or if I need to, I can get louder and louder and louder, but I still maintain the core components of my sound, of my vocal identity, of my vocal brand. And that is the amazing part of creating volume this way, instead of just yelling at people all the time, which again feels kind of silly to me now, but there we go. So how can you build this into your everyday life? How can you practice this? Well, first and foremost, just get comfortable with that cold spot breathing. And eventually you don't want to make that noise, right? Because as we're giving a presentation, you can be, hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about so-and-so, but it's just a way to kind of feel that space. Eventually you want that space to just always be open and always be there for you to use as you need to. So get comfortable creating that structure. Get comfortable feeling that expansion in the back of your throat so that it's there as you need it. The second thing I want you to do is get comfortable speaking into that space. You can read aloud from a favorite book. You can use the Harvard sentences. You can read the newspaper in the morning, speaking in that place. If you have children, reading aloud to them is a really fun way to play with this. But just saying, the birch canoe slid on the smooth planks, and just play with the extremes. How loud can you go without obviously anything hurting, but go to the extremes, push yourself, see how far, how loud you can get. And then after that, the third step is to then see, how can I keep this presence of sound? How can I keep this volume? How can I keep this color? But then as the volume gets quieter and quieter, how can I maintain this presence? How quiet can I get while still having this presence of sound? And as you get quieter and quieter, you maintain that structure. You maintain sending your sound back, but it's just smaller and smaller and smaller. And as you gain control over this, the birch canoe slid on the smooth planks. It's the same concept. It's just a little bit quieter, right? Once you have control of the levels of volume you're using when you're in an isolated practice space, then the fourth step is to practice this in real life. Change how you use this presence in one-on-one meetings, in presentations, when you're at a networking event, right? Maintaining this presence of sound with all this color instead of yelling, right? Having this presence of sound. And then as you need more volume, you can do so, but you still maintain your identity as you're doing it. As always, I hope this was interesting. I hope you learned something new and are excited to try it. And I look forward to seeing you next time.